I have 2 questions that I will answer. And if you have additional questions or you have things to share, this will be kind of like a little Zoom section for you to kind of like, create a little community, or, basically take care of the social elements of a workshop that you are missing when you are learning on your own, all right? So the 2 questions I'm going to answer today is, the first one is that we have students who take the rose workshop and want to have a little bit more, kind of see the stroke again for the turn petal. So I will be doing that. And then I also have another questions on how to present the artwork in the Shikishi board. And I believe that in the workshop at the end, kind of like on the last chapter on the web app, when I was talking about inspiration, I did talk a little bit about how people usually present it, but then I bring the stuff again, so if you want to see it again, that'll be fine. Okay. I will be continually touching the screen because I need to unmute people, since I don't want it to be like completely open, like I don't want to be Zoom bombed by, a stranger, okay? So the first question's on the rose petals. And this is a little bit high, but right. Okay, this is actually from the workshop, but basically what we know is that when we have a rose, the petal is turned. So instead of a petal like this, it's kind of like it's turned on the corners on both ends. So the way I did it in the workshop is that I use opaque white to do that. And here. So this is the petal, and because the corner is turned, so we are going to do 2 strokes, or like depending on how it's turned, it could be 1 stroke as well if it's only 1 corner turned, right? Because it's like this, right? And since it's round, it will be like this, okay? So in a way, it's not just a line, all right? And the way we did, I used, because the paper is white, I used black ink, but basically it's a stroke that is pointed on the top and the bottom, but then it's kind of round and flat in the middle. So I'm sure that, you guys are sumi artists, you will know bamboo stroke. It's similar to the bamboo stroke, but then it's kind of rounded in the middle. All right, that's the concept, all right? So here, let me see what's the best way. I already have the rose painted here, so we're going to get the opaque white, because this one, I have all the petals, but then I didn't do the turn corner yet, all right? I like to get the opaque white from a jar. So here, if you can see it, this is what I do. I point, press, get out. Like that? Okay. Let me see if I can, let me do 2 more in here, then I'll go to my iPhone to get a close-up shot. Okay, here. Point, press, go down, like that. All right? Point, press. It's just like a bamboo stroke, right? So the ones that is on in the middle, and then the one on the surrounding area, it really depends. Sometimes I add more, sometimes I add less. It really depends, because if you do too many, it'll be just too busy. All right? But that's what the stroke is. Okay? All right. So take care of that one. Okay, you can go back to my, like speaker wheel or whatever.
What are you using for white?
Opaque white, I use this one. It's Dr. Martin Brief Put White, and
Okay.
I have to say that I don't get any royalty or any commission or anything from them. I use them because I just picked them up one time and I liked it. it is pretty good coverage because opaque white, obviously is opaque. It should be having very good coverage even it's on black or a dark color. However, they are not created equal. Different brands have different opacity, and this one is really good. They are actually used by graphic artists. And then I also like it being in a jar because if you see my demo in a lot of my workshop, when I'm doing the white, I just pick it up and then I just take it right from the jar because then it's airtight, it's moist, and there's no waste because opaque color, being opaque, there's a lot of gum with the pigment because it's needed, all right? But because of the gum element in the pigment, when we have it dried, it doesn't rehydrate well, all right? So if you have a really high quality watercolor, if you have the watercolor out and walk away and 2 days later you come back, if it is high quality watercolor, what you will do is you can add water to it and you have the same color. However, if you have student grade watercolor, you walk away 2 days and it's just a cake, like you cannot do anything about it because there's so much gum and so much other additives. The pigment element is not that good. I like this brand. There's also a few brands that also come in a jar. But then if you really cannot find it, the Winsor Newton opaque watercolor permanent white in a tube, I've used that before. It's good as well. But the only thing is when it's in a tube, when it's squeezed out, you have to find it in an airtight container. Otherwise, you cannot come back and use it again because of the nature of opaque color. And while we're on the subject, people ask me about my green jar of stone green. They thought that they can find it in a jar. It doesn't come that way. This is actually the jar when I finish using my opaque white. This is a really nice airtight container. So I kept the jar and put my, just keep falling. Yeah, don't move. And keep my watercolor in it because sometimes some watercolor, I mean the good brand doesn't have that problem. They have really good packaging. But then sometimes, like some brand from, like may not be as good brand, they dried out because of probably maybe it's not as airtight or, whatever reason. They dried out and then the thing will dry up. Okay, let me just pick this up. So if it is high quality watercolor, especially, like I'm selling the metallic watercolor tube, and then, a student said that one of the tube in her box actually was kind of solidified. It's a little bit hard to grease out. So the reason is because probably maybe the tin element, whoops, this thing continues to fall down. Okay. It dried out, and then what I did is I would just actually get a pair of scissors or utility knife, take the whole thing out, and this is a jar of stone blue, and you can see that it's kind of in a tube form. The reason is because I actually get it out from the tube, and I put it in an airtight jar. And I don't add water to it to soak it because it doesn't work that way. But then when you're ready to use it, spray some water over it and let it sit for 1 or 2 minutes, and then you can just use it like the pan watercolor. I'm sure you're familiar with pan watercolor. It's not in a tube, it's actually in little square, and then you just spray water over it and then you can pick up color from it, and that's exactly how it would work. So this is the stone green. You can never find it in a jar like that. Okay, so don't go to the art store and try to ask for the like where do I find this? It doesn't work that way. Okay. Yes.
Actually, I've seen recently on the OAS website they do have stone green and stone blue in jars.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean they.
So people, yeah. Mm-hmm. So they've started getting it from somewhere. Mm-hmm. If people want to get it.
Because like I use mainly the Western watercolor. However, like there are some colors that is irreplaceable, and then what the traditional watercolor doesn't come in a tube. It actually come in chips in a little paper box and little chips, pigment, and then you have to spray water on it and let it sit. That's exactly the same thing. And in the olden times, what is inside the jar is actually the little chips that I try to rehydrate, right? And then there are little stack of little dishes that I have, but then they are not airtight. So I use it for a while, and then I decided I actually like it airtight. I wanted to keep it moist and things like that. So everybody have a different preference. All right. Okay. My second question I'm going to answer is on how to present the Shikishi board. In the sessions, I think at the very end, because you probably didn't come to it because I have so many demo. But then in the end, I think in the last chapter on the web app inspiration and things like that, I did talk about how to present the Shikishi board. And this one is actually come like that. Okay, let me see. Okay, I have to continue. I'm meeting people. All right. So this is how the Shikishi board. This is actually when I bought it. Okay, and it's paper, but what it is when it open up, it's actually a presentation stroke. Okay, so this one is paper, and this is actually the artwork that came with the one that I bought. All right, so it's on plastic, and you can slide out and replace it. And I don't have the cloth one, but then if you live in LA or live in, for example, areas that they have a big Japanese American community, they will have a Japanese supermarket, and next to it is a Japanese department store, and sometimes they will have presentation frame for Shikishi board. And I have seen wooden one, and I have seen cloth one that look like this format, but then they will have kind of 4 ribbons on the corners, and you can slide your Shikishi board onto the cloth or the wooden presentation format, and you can present your artwork like that. I was unable to obtain one because they are quite pricey, but then the good thing is you can change it. It's just like a frame of a standard artwork, say 18 by 12 by 18. Then you can just slide different kind of artwork into it, and they come in cloth, and then they also come in wood, under glass. But that's one way of presenting it. All right, and then another way of presenting it, of course, is to custom frame it. This is a Shikishi board that, because it's not a perfect square, so I just have someone custom frame it for me. So you can just custom frame it, and you can custom frame it under mat, just like a watercolor painting. But then if you do it like that, just like a custom frame or a custom frame with a mat, you do not see the gold edge. All right, so that's a choice. Like no one said that you must show the gold edge. All right, you don't need to see the gold edge. And one thing that we present that would show the gold edge is called floating. And if you go to your framer and tell them that you want to frame the artwork with a floating method, like a boat floating on water. So basically what it is you see this one, the Shikishi board is actually you heave to a backing, and then the backing is framed under glass. But what they did is, like the floating method is similar to the other method, but what the framer did is they have something called spacer, which is kind of like the thickness of the board, or maybe slightly higher, and then they put spacer all across the edge, but then it would be hiding underneath the frame, so you don't see it, so it looked like the painting is floating under the frame. And this is a silver board, and I don't want it to be black, but then if you use black backing, the gold would really show. And I have to say that most of the floated presentation of Shikishi board are in black ones. But then on this particular one, I think black is a little bit too overwhelming, so I actually use white. But then this is the floating method, all right? So this is how you present the Shikishi board. I have to say that floating method is the most beautiful because it shows the whole thing kind of floating in the frame and show the edge as well. I found it really beautiful, but then of course, you know, like you thought that you saved the cost of the mat. No, it's actually cost more because the spacer, the backing is also a piece of matte paper. And of course, the traditional backing is all there. The glass, everything is the same, except, you know, you actually have more cost to it. But then it's beautiful, it's floating, all right? And since we are at it, I will show you the different kind of Shikishi boards. The one that we work on in the workshop is a typical, probably around 10 by 11 inches. Okay, so this is kind of like the typical way of a Shikishi board. However, they actually come in a lot of different sizes. I think I shared with you that I have successfully asked Plaza Art to order the Shikishi board for us. So they have gold, silver, and rice paper. And I have to say that if you know what another store is selling it for, it's actually like 50% off from another one. So it's actually quite a good price because that's actually the price for me. When they told me, and I say, how about my students? And then another thing is, you know, if they sell it to me, I have to ship it to you guys, and then you have to add the shipping costs, and you know, I really don't want to get into the, you know, like the retail art supply business. So therefore, I pass on the savings to you guys. So that's why I do not know how long would that discount last. Would it be forever? Would it be, you know, like for a limited time? I do not know. But then you know, it was very nice of them. I mean, they are, if you you know, like Google and find, you know, they are not an extremely big art supplier. So for them to be so nice and do it for us is I have to say is commendable. All right. What I have is baby Shikishi board. It's really cute. Okay. Don't ask me where to find it. I mean, I don't think I can convince anyone to carry them. But then they come in gold and silver. They also come in paper, but I like the gold and silver. As a matter of fact, I like them so much. When my son got married 2 years ago, I actually purchased a big order of this and then painted on them to be the little gift for all the guests, and they all loves it because it's an original artwork. And and then in the back I have, you know, like the wedding day and the names, and you know, like, so everybody loves that. But this is like the baby one, and I have seen artists. In the workshop I talk about you know, like using a masking tape to make bigger ones by pasting two together like this. All right, so I have seen people use this and make it into little square. All right, this is long one. This is one is the paper one, and I don't know whether they have a special name for it, but they use it usually for haiku. So they would do a little calligraphy on a haiku on it, and of course sometimes the haiku may have little simple painting, but this is really long and it is for a haiku. All right, but of course you can paint really narrow painting on it too. I mean, I've seen it done it, like wisteria coming down, you know, like a very long orchid, really nice bamboo. I mean, and they also come in gold, silver, and rice paper. But then this is, I have not seen people do it English calligraphy like that. But then this is for haiku, which is very nice. They also come like this with an opening. This is rice paper in the middle, and this is gold, or it can be even bouquet. So it come like that too, and the big one, I got it from Miss Diana Khan, you know, a long time ago. I was so careful about it, I haven't even started working on it. But then you see how big it is. This is like double the size of the Shikishi board. But this one, this is really big. I don't even know where to buy it anymore. So that's why I still have it. I haven't worked on it yet. And then one last one, the opening. So we are not painting on the side. We're actually painting on it on the fan shape. And this one is also on a board. And these are all from Japan. And the interesting thing is when I was emailing all the different art supplier to find Shikishi board, the ones that work with Chinese manufacturer, they show me something similar to this, but on like a cardboard, meaning that you really cannot do the pomo because the pomo would make everything completely curled up and wrinkled. However, they have something that look like this in the various art supply that I emailed. But then, unfortunately, because they don't deal with Japanese manufacturer, so they are unable to carry it for us. All right. So I have answered the questions that you have asked. And is there any additional questions someone wants to ask? I'll try to answer it within the time left, because I think I have like 7 minutes left.
Joan,
Yes.
Joan, where did you get that trifle presentation?
Oh, it's actually from Japan, but then I didn't get it from Japan. It's actually from my friend who live in Japan, and she gave it to me one year because she know I like sumie. This is actually a gift because you write something here and then you present it like a souvenir or a gift to your friend. Yeah, but then this is actually a gift from my friend, so I do not know where you get this. But I have seen cloth one and wooden one, even under glass in Japanese department store. And since you're in California, maybe you can go to Japantown and look for it.
Yeah, but then so the cloth one you say, is that a scroll or?
Yeah, this cloth one is a straw. Like, you know how the Chinese straw look like? It's like a silk and paper they can roll up. The whole thing is like that. You can roll up, but pretending this is made of cloth, and instead of a plastic things or things like that, it actually has 4 little ribbon, like a little corner, like this, and then when you're ready to slide in, you just slide it into the corner of the 4 ribbons, so it will make it stay. Because the board is stiff, so you hang it up and you put it there. But then when you want to remove it, and you can put another painting there, or you can roll the whole string up. But this is kind of like softer. It can be rolled up, but then it's like there's 4 ribbon on corners, and you can put it in. And the same thing with the glass one, the one under glass and things like that. They also have like either 2 or 4 ribbons. Some of them has only 2 ribbons because supposedly you can stay it. Yeah, but then I have seen that. I have to say that when I saw it many years ago, I didn't buy it, and now I can't find it anymore because I live in Maryland and I don't have a Japanese American department store, because it's probably very, maybe the market is so small that you have to go to where you have a lot of Japanese American population. For example, like Sumie Supply, of course now we have various art suppliers, but years ago you have to actually go to Chinatown to find it, because just a Chinese grocery store would not have it. They may have a little bit of calligraphy brush or some Sumie ink, but you cannot really find good paper in a grocery store. But then if you go to Chinatown and you go to like a store that actually is a cultural bookstore or stationery store, then you can find a good rice paper, and it's the same thing here. So since you're in California, maybe you can like look for your Japantown, see if you can find it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out.
Okay. Yeah. So any more questions? Okay, because
Just a quick one.
Mhm.
Excuse me. If you don't have a chop to sign your work, is it okay to just write your name and somewhere
Yeah.
in the front?
yeah,
Or
I have even seen people draw a chop.
Oh.
It's you have to know that okay, we have chops, but then we may not carry it all the time. And in Chinese tradition, especially when you have a group of artists gathered together, we like to paint together. It's just a very nice tradition. And therefore, one time I was in Connecticut, and my friend John invited us to his beach house for a party. So we all stay, and we are all sume artists, so we all painted and things like that. And most of us bought our chops, but then one gentleman, he forgot. And then we have a cooperative painting. So what does he do? He used some red ink and he drew his chop. That's fine. I mean, like, it's no big deal. And talking about chops, I was looking at like various book about history and things like that, and then during the revolution, the Chinese Revolution, one of the general's wife, one general's wife, her ring is actually a chop. So when people donate to her husband's the Revolutionary Army and things like that, she have to acknowledge, kind of like receipt. She would just take off her ring and then chop. And I'm like, oh, that's so clever. Maybe I should find a ring and ask someone to carve it into a chop, But yes, like I have seen various one, and I have seen people drew it. Actually, I think I collected that collaborative work. Let me see if I can find it. But then that gentleman was like drawing his chop, and he actually did a very good job. because I mean his name is very simple. Some people has very short last name, very few stroke, and he remember how his chop looked like. And for me, my last name is Lok. I mean this one is not Lok. This one is my Lisa Shield. But then because it's my last name, I actually remember it by heart. How my seal that have the word Lok looks like. So occasionally, I actually follow his footsteps, and I also draw my seal with occasionally at a art event that I didn't have a seal, and we are exchanging art and because I mean like the accordion book. I mean sometimes we like to write on each other's accordion book, and then like we may not see each other in a year, so we want to make sure that it has a seal, so we drew our seal, and it was fun. Yeah, it can be done. We're actually very close to an end, so I appreciate everybody joining us. Like last time, I have my camcorder on, so I will clean it up, make sure that and see with I can see that we have small ones. Like our classmate have small one. Is it from what's her name? The lady that was the chapter president for a while, Eileen. Okay, because one artist who really liked to use 4 or 6 together into one artwork. Her name is Eileen, and I think she lived in Minnesota. She really liked to do it like that. Yeah, so I know that she's the one that liked to do 2 small one as well. But with you guys not want to know where to get this, I'll try to see if I can find it in America, but I'm not sure. All right, so we're coming to an end, and we have to say goodbye. Thank you.